Hi, welcome to Rivetea. Welcome back if you have been here before. I am Longhair Linda, and today we are going to be talking about Real Housewives of New Jersey, Season 13, Episode 2, and this one is called Family, Family, Family. Let's get into it. So, in the aftermath of the blow up between Dolores and Jen Aiden, the ladies try to find out from Dolores how it all escalated as Jen leaves with Bill, telling him that she won't be friends with trash like that. Dolores tells the ladies that Jen was crying to everyone else but didn't talk to her first, and every time she tried to talk to Jen, Jen would be like, okay, we're not friends. Melissa tells Dolores that Jen said she feels like Dolores doesn't care. Now, it is interesting that Melissa would say this. I'd like to think that Melissa was almost trying to stick up for Jen in this moment. But nothing I've seen of Melissa leads me to believe that she would stick up for Jen. So, just it feels like maybe she's like stirring the pot, mixing things up, adding to the miscommunication that's already going on. Dolores said she did care and asked the ladies, have I not gone against every one of you for her? And producers flash back to scenes of Dolores telling Margaret that she was unfair for saying what she said about Bill, which, let's not forget, she later said that Jen provoked. A scene of her standing by Jen when Jen and Melissa had their blow up last season, and another scene of Dolores telling the group that they were ganging up on Jen. Dolores repeats that she has gone against every one of them as Jen tells Bill in the car that Dolores is a lowlife. Bill says the word look, but before he can even get the sentence out, Jen yells, "Don't look me!" I just think you should stop trying to be reasonable, Bill, when she's like this. Just don't try and make sense out of any of it. Just let it be. Let her get it out. With impeccable editing, producers cut to Dolores back in the house telling the ladies that she didn't even want to talk to Bill. Crazy. What's wrong with her talking to him like that? He doesn't deserve that. Well, okay. Teresa says, well, they're both happy. I just love how she delivered that line. It was great. As Jen yells over Bill in the car about Dolores being a bee and being nasty. Melissa says she thinks that Jen wants Dolores to love her, be obsessed with her, and Danielle is like, ding, ding, ding. I think she was saying that about the love thing before Melissa added the wants you to be obsessed with her. Because Danielle continues that Jen had them in the corner of the room for 45 minutes from a place of hurt, talking about how she just wanted to be friends with Dolores. Teresa adds that that's why she wanted Jen and Dolores to talk, but Dolores wants nothing to do with that. Jen wants to mourn the loss because she feels like Dolores doesn't care about her, so she will no longer care about Dolores, and Dolores seems equally done. Ugh. It's really a shame watching the breakdown of this friendship, but the thing that does give me hope is Jennifer Aiden's Instagram. So it looks like that, you know, they've made up because Jen added this post to Instagram and you can see that Dolores is in the picture. And the caption reads, "Teamwork makes the dream work. Please consider donating," and gives the earthquake relief website where 100% will go to earthquake survivors. Thank you to everyone involved and to the Patterson NJ CDC for facilitating the website and getting this thing going for us. Hashtag humanity helps. So maybe there's some hope. Well, there is, because they're in the same room together and they look like they've made up. There were a few people in the comments that were very much like, oh, it's so good to see you guys have made up. It's so good to see you guys together. And Jen was like hearting them and sending lots of like amen emojis and like love hearts. So everything looks good between the two of them now. But I want to see what the hell we're going to go through for them to get to that point in this season. We get some amazing cutscenes of Danielle and her son and Jen and her daughter being the absolute adorable children that they are. At Teresa's, she's working on wedding plans and tells us in her confessional that her parties are always over the top and her wedding will be even more than that. She wants an epic wedding. God help us, because we have seen many of Teresa's parties over the years, so... We also did see pictures from the wedding, and I think it's safe to say that her hair, at least, was completely over the top. At the Gorgas, Melissa is packing because she was asked to present an award at an award show in LA with Teresa. Oh look, the family feud happening on TV just keeps on giving. Melissa and Joe are the victims again. Now they're talking about Louis calling Melissa insecure to Margaret, and obviously Margaret running back to them with the tea, and the fact that they were on a different table to Louis and Teresa at the engagement party, so of course they're hurt, blah, 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 boring. At Jennifer and Bill's, Jennifer had invited Danielle and her kids over, and when I tell you my heart was melting as the kids introduced themselves to each other, they are precious. Danielle is impressed by Jen's stunning home and doesn't want her kids to ask her for a house like this in future. Relatable. You rich ass friends that just have like everything and make you not even appreciate what you have. Like if you just have these, man, relatable. A lot of the time you just sat there like, why do I have to experience this? Because I going back to my life, it's not going to look like this. It's not going to feel like this. So why do I do this to myself? Why do I even hang out with you? The ladies chat about the fight, and Danielle seems like she understands where Jen is coming from and says Jen has a weird dynamic with all these broads here in the best Staten Island accent ever. I'm not going to try and do it because every accent I try to do is offensive because I can't do it, but it just sounds so whimsical and nice to me. I don't know why. Jen asks Danielle who has been the nicest to her, and Danielle says it's her, and she has vibed with Jen the most. Danielle says she's a little crazy, just like her. Maybe that's why I like the both of them. Because, you know, I can be a little cuckoo, I guess. So maybe that's why I resonate with them so much. Danielle says Teresa briefed her on everybody. Teresa was apparently positive about turning things around with Margaret, and Jen FaceTimes Teresa to find out how the meeting went with Margaret. Teresa says the meeting went well and she apologized, but Margaret didn't. But it was still good because they communicated. It was a fresh of breath air. One thing Teresa will do is mess up a phrase. And I'm here for it. It just makes me laugh every time. It never gets old. Jen brings up Laura, Margaret's ex-best friend that Margaret had fallen out with, who had been trying to get in touch with Jen. Danielle is like, tell her dirt on her ex-friend? And I don't know how people can do that. I don't get how people can go, especially best friends, which is what they're claiming that Laura and Margaret were. I don't know how you can stop being best friends and then go and just go to everybody and be telling their business or making up things or any of that. I don't get how you do that. Like, I had a friendship of over 20 years break up. Ooh, would not recommend it. And there is not a world I can imagine ever going to people, especially people that she doesn't like, especially if she was on TV, and be going to them with dirt on her. I just wouldn't. And I don't know what that says about people that would. So already I'm giving Laura this side eye, but also I kind of want to know the tea. You know what I mean? It's just a very conflicting place to be right now. So it turns out that Teresa and Jen heard Laura out. Jen said Margaret would do the same to them in her confessional, and Laura told them that Margaret allegedly spends a lot of her time digging up dirt on everyone. Danielle wants to know if Laura talked about anyone else or just Margaret, and after Jen and Teresa exchange silent smiles, they decide not to share, and Jen said that it would make them just as dirty as Margaret. Side note, producers did ask Danielle in her confessional if she wanted to know, and she was like, hell yeah, and of course. Of course. Everybody wants to know now. You've made that so juicy. That little smile between Teresa and Jen was just like, no, I need to be in on this. I need to know. I need to know what was said. This Laura chick, not a nice person, clearly, in my opinion. But I want to know. Like, what's tea, sis? Jen is holding it in, but saving it for when Margaret pushes her button. So it looks like we're going to find out. We're going to find out, because it's bound to happen. It already happened this episode, but more on that later. At Rachel and her husband John's home, we are introduced to Rachel's beautiful kids, her 15-year-old stepson, and 2 babies under 2. Ooh, God bless you. The reason she brings up the fact that Jaden is her stepson is because people always bring up her age. It's a little weird. It's funny, but it is a little weird. Because why would you go out of your way to say he's your stepson? Because then that could potentially make him feel like you don't think of him as part of the family. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but fine, whatever. Rachel talks about how challenging being a stepmom can be and says that they instantly clicked. It wasn't an issue for them. They seem to have like a really cute relationship. He is adorable. He, you know, sent her flowers or something when they first like properly were hanging out, or when she was getting ready to marry his dad or something like that. There was a very, very sweet thing that she has kept over the years as well. So yeah, it's just really cute. They seem like they have a really cute relationship. So clearly the whole purposely being referred to as a stepson isn't affecting him or their relationship. So let me mind my business on that one. Rachel mentions a mozzarella making party that Danielle... Actually, I'm going to stop calling it mozzarella because the way authentic Italians say mozzarella is way better. The way they say it on this show is mozzarella. 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 Yeah, I'm going to be saying it that way from now on. I'm going to sound like such a pompous idiot, but that's how I'm going to be saying it. Rachel mentions a mozzarella making party that Danielle is hosting, and she invited all the ladies. And Rachel says she really likes Danielle. Everyone does. Duh, she's great. I actually like Rachel a little more now too, I'm not gonna lie. Now that I've seen the family and I've seen kind of how she is, I think I like her a bit more than I did last episode. I found her to be a bit and a bit nosy last episode, but yeah, I'm into it. I can see the benefits of having Rachel on the show now. At Margaret and Joe's, they're prepping for a little get-together that Margaret is planning for her, Jackie, Melissa, Dolores, and Jennifer Fessler. Melissa brings sprinkle cookies, so if you are an OG Real Housewives of New Jersey fan, you know that one of the big storylines for some reason was that Teresa threw the sprinkle cookies that Melissa had brought in the garbage. She brought them to her house, knowing that Teresa doesn't like sprinkle cookies or something, and she feels like she did it on purpose, and why would you even bring sprinkle cookies? And drama, pointless drama. Funny at the time, but once you've now had all of the same arguments over and over again, even I can't even find joy in the sprinkle cookies anymore. Nah. Yeah, so of course Melissa and Margaret are laughing at this, whatever. And it turns out that Margaret met Jennifer Fessler through Ziggy Flicker, who they both hate now. So, you know, strong bond there. Margaret suggests a great game. That turned out to be pretty boring to me, I'm not going to lie. I picked out some of the results of this game. Margaret feels guilty about giving her husband fellatio while driving, and truck drivers could see. Melissa feels guilty about licking her husband's dangly bits. The game is interrupted by Melissa being done with Teresa and Dolores saying that she's done with Jennifer Aiden. Jackie says Jen Aiden is more dangerous than Teresa. Dangerous how, Miriam? Margaret found out that Jen and Teresa met with Laura because there's apparently a mole in Jen's camp that told her. I want to know more about this mole. Paul and Dolores are about to have sushi at his home, and she says that she now feels like she has to take back all of the teasing that she has done when her friends have been all soft about their relationships. Dolores tells us that this is the most she has had her guard down, and she thinks she is so corny. This is so relatable because I think a lot of the time people with a hard exterior, and I'm saying this from what I've seen on the show of Dolores, of course I don't know this lady, but I relate to her in the sense of, for me, in my opinion, people that tend to have such a hard exterior, it's because they're actually very soft and gushy and very kind on the inside, and too many people in their lifetime have either taken advantage of them or have shown them that they can be taken advantage of, and so you build a wall. And I think that's normal for everybody, but I think people who are extra sweet and extra nice and are the type that would do anything for someone and are super loyal, and that kind of is what Dolores gives me, in my opinion. But like, I think the exterior becomes even harder as well, depending on what you've gone through. But I think that it's so relatable for me because for a long time, you know, I was kind. I wasn't always nice. And I wasn't always the most pleasant I could be, right? I mean, I was pleasant, but I wasn't rushing to be my full self with people and do what I would normally do for people that I, you know, care about, or just people that are around me. Because it was a form of protecting myself. And unfortunately, I learned as I got older that really what you're doing is hiding who you truly are. You're hiding your true nature. And that is also unhealthy, very unhealthy. It's not even about what people see of you. It's not even about the impression that people have of you. To some people, that's super important. To others, not so much. For me, though, the most important thing is how you feel, how you wake up and feel every day. And if you are going against your nature, believe me, it will not feel good. So while you think this exterior, this hard exterior, this attitude, this front that you put on, while you think that that is protecting you, and to some degree it is, it's also really damaging you, because that's not your nature. You can be blunt, you can be a tough person, but I think you have to be really careful about the exterior. That's what I learned. Let me say I found out that I had to be really careful about the exterior that I protected myself with, because it was also hurting me. So I think it's really nice that Dolores has found somebody and found a relationship that she feels like she can let her guard down and just really be, as corny as she feels, really be happy and really be vulnerable and really just be soft and mushy and feel safe in the situation that she's in without having to guard herself as much. I'm happy for her, really happy for her. I'm looking forward to learning more about Paul this season as well, because I like the way he talks to her. So like when Dolores was telling Paul that she doesn't want to fight with Jen, and she's telling us in the confessional that Paul had told her to be a bigger person before the party, and that if he hadn't, that confrontation could have gone very differently. Producers being a little messy, cut to her argument in 2017 with Danielle Staub, and her standing over Danielle screaming that she's a scumbag. So you know what, come on, progress, right? And if Paul had a hand in that, we like Paul for her. Dolores says it's a shame that Frank was sick and couldn't make the party, but that it was good in a way because it meant that Paul got to hang out with the other husbands by himself. Paul jokes that he'd been working out a lot but felt like he could chill on the reps when he found out that Frank wouldn't be there. Men, why are you always competing? Paul thinks that Frank is more uncomfortable than he is when they're around each other, and Dolores says that Frank is not used to change, especially because she's just not around him as much. Again, I'm looking forward to learning more about Paul. I think so far he seems like a good influence, a good protector for Dolores as well. I think he just has his stuff together, and that's always great. I'm happy for Dolores, and I hope he turns out to be the great character that so far he is portraying himself to be. And yeah, good vibes. I want to learn more about him though, but yeah, good vibes. The ladies receive very cute invitations to Teresa's wedding, including the Gorgas, who are still being victims. This is post their LA trip, by the way. So Melissa and Teresa were hosting this awards show together in LA. And in the scene, Joe is talking about being at that event and how sad it is that they couldn't even be on the red carpet together to enjoy how far they come from their childhoods. He was like, we were raised in the ghetto and like all of this stuff. No, not the ghetto, they said the hood. They were raised in the hood. I'm going to keep my comments to myself. Joe says Louis added to the fire and calls Louis a new seed that's germinating after bad seed Joe Judice. I mean, you can feel that way. But if you now have issues with Teresa and her husband with two different husbands, it's also time to consider if you're the issue. Because to me, it looks like you're the issue, in my opinion. At Danielle's home, she's setting up for her mozzarella-making party, and she wants to know who can fight while they're touching cheese. Oh, you sweet, sweet angel. Oh, you can tell you're new on this cast. Oh, you sweet angel. The Jersey girls can fight doing anything. Anything. Under any circumstance. Okay. Bless her heart. Danielle tells us in her confessional that she's a little nervous hosting a party after seeing Jen's home. She is so cute and relatable. I just love her. Because that is true. Like, knowing that somebody lives in a house that, like, engulfs yours and some. Yeah. Hosting a cast party, especially for the first time, must be a bit nerve-wracking. Bless her. She's so sweet. When Teresa arrives, she tells Danielle and Dolores that she had to redo the invitations because all her guests had a password, I think, and it was a very, private location. And Ramona Singer, had shared her invitation on social media. It's a very typical thing for Ramona to do. It's so Ramona. And I remember when it happened at the time because I was watching the clips from BravoCon, and one of the people had questioned Teresa about it. And it's extremely Ramona Singer. Very Ramona Singer. More of the ladies arrive, and I just want to pause here for a second and mention that some of these outfits were interesting. Now, I know there's been some conversations about this on Twitter. Sorry, this is a little late because I had an extremely busy week and I was taking some time. But yeah, I've seen the conversations on Twitter. Let's just talk about the outfits. Let's talk about them. So I'm looking at them, you're looking at them. Let's talk. Let's start from left to right. Okay, so we've got Margaret. I don't hate this dress. I don't hate this dress. I think the dress is fine. I think the dress is cute. It's a light pink. It's cute. I think it's a nice, easy dress. I think the cast goes with it because it's hot pink. So yay, love the matchy. I don't know what is going on with these shoes. Why are they bright blue when the theme is pink? I don't understand. Everything up until the shoes was great. Why the shoes? Anyway, let's get on to Jennifer Fessler. I think she looks adorable. I think that it's a very cute summery sunflower dress. The shades are nice. The earrings are nice. Everything is working. And then you get to the bottom and you see that she's wearing boots. Now, for most people, they would be offended by this. It's summertime. You're wearing a summer dress. Why are you wearing boots? That is an extremely me thing to do. So if you are upset with Jen Fessler over this, you would be upset with me. I love an ankle boot. I think ankle boots are great all year round. And I don't care. You can sue me. We can fight. But I love them. I will wear a summer dress on a piping hot day with some ankle boots. I don't care how you feel. I don't care what you think about it. It is what it is. Next up is Danielle. She looks super cute. The top is a little weird. Yeah, it's a little interesting. But overall, the colour scheme looks really good. She's giving Barbie pink. The straps going up the calf, I don't know. But it's okay. The shoes in general are nice. She looks cute. She looks like a Barbie, and I think that is the theme that she was going for. Then we have Teresa. I think Teresa looks fantastic. All white looks great on her. She's obviously got a great physique. So, it's tight fitting. She looks great. I even like the shoes. So, yes, I think Teresa did fantastic. I think Melissa looks really good too. I think that, again, she's got a great figure. She's got a very classic look, similar to Teresa in the sense of like a tucked in tank top. That's a tongue twister. A tucked in tank top. Yeah, similar to Teresa, she's got a tucked in tank top with high-waisted jeans. I think she looks great. I think the colours work really well. I think the shoes are fine. She's the only one that's not smiling. She's the only one that said, hey, I'm going to give face. I'm not mad at it. She looks great. Dolores looks beautiful. Love that dress. The high neck, I don't know if it's for her. I don't know if the high neck is for her. But overall, she looks great. The shoes are interesting. They don't really go with the dress, but they're cute. Yeah, what's her name? Damn, Rachel. Alright, Rachel, I don't understand. It's very frilly. I think it's the look that she was going for. I don't understand. But the wedges are cute. I think the wedges fit a kind of summery garden pool party type situation. I think she looks cute. I just don't... That outfit is just not for me. But it's not for me because I'm not wearing it. She is. And she looks great. So, great. Great. How many times can I say great? And lastly, we have Jen. I think Jen... I don't know. I know she has to wear those flat shoes because she has a boot on one of them after the injury with her ankle. I just don't know if that slipper works with everything. I don't know if I would have done... I would have just embraced the boot if it was me. I don't know if I would have done a wide leg pant like that. I don't think that style really suits her body. I think it makes her middle look a bit odd, especially in this pose. I wouldn't have done it. But I do like the colour scheme and I like that top on her. It looks really cute. I like her jewellery looks great. Yeah, I just don't know if I would have done a wide leg. I don't think it's the wide leg that's the problem. I think it's the bit at the top that's making it look weird, like disproportionate. I think that bit should have been a bit tighter. What's it called? It's like a paper bag style, I think it's called. Because I have a pair of shorts that are like that and I don't like them. I thought I would. I thought I'd try something different, but I don't know. I just don't think it looks good in the middle. I think it looks weird. But Jen looks good. Different pants, different sandals, I would have been happy. But she does look cute, bless her. All right, let's move away from the outfits. Let's stop talking about outfits. I just love talking about people's outfits. I don't know why. I'm not even a fashion girl like that. So as Jen is pulling up, everyone is trying to find out how Dolores is feeling, and Teresa tries to stick up for Jen, winding Dolores up right as Jen walks in. Great. Jennifer Fessler lightens the mood by saying her thighs are sweating and she needs a napkin. I really like Jennifer Fessler. It's surprising because she's very good friends with Margaret, and I've not been enjoying Margaret in recent years, but I really, really like Jennifer Fessler a lot. Yeah, so she then, after the whole thighs sweating thing, she then asks whether Teresa and Melissa are okay, and Teresa says she was just in California with her and she had a great time. So what is the truth? Teresa just said that they had a great time, but over in the other scenes, Melissa and Joe were like, no, it was terrible, she didn't even speak to us, she's a horrible person, victim. You know, so what's the truth? Did they speak? Did they not? Did they have a good time? Did they not? What happened? As Margaret and Melissa arrive, Teresa goes on to say that she thinks her brother is still hurt from what she had said to him in New York at the reunion, the whole bitch boy thing. B-boy. Oh, God. But that B-boy is actually a thing. You know what I mean? She has said sorry and she doesn't know what else she can do. She's in a very happy place thanks to therapy, and the ladies talk about how therapy is stigmatized in Italian culture. Jennifer says it's different. Jennifer Fessler says it's different in Jewish culture, and cheers to therapy and Prozac. I'm telling you, I like this lady. So it turns out that Danielle didn't invite Jackie. Ooh. New castmates? Already? Okay. See, I feel like it's hypocritical of me to say that I respect it, because I just did a Basketball Wives recap and I was talking about how British is like above her station trying to exclude Malaysia. But I don't mind that Danielle excluded Jackie from this. Is that bad? That's hypocritical, isn't it? Yeah, I'm biased. Yeah, that's a bias for sure. But anyway, so she says she didn't invite her because she got a weird vibe from her, and Jen Aiden says, yeah, she's a snob. As Melissa and Margaret stick up for Jackie, Rachel says that Jackie was actually a little bit rude with her too. Jen wants to know if that's why Rachel snapped at her, Jen Aiden, but Rachel feels like it's Jen Aiden that snapped at her. Jen Aiden says maybe it was because of Rachel's use of the word hypocritical when talking about the Jen versus Margaret situation. Which I do kind of agree on, because I think Rachel needed to kind of mind her business a little bit there, especially as a newbie. I think she came in with information that can only be secondhand, including watching it on TV. So I feel like you should have been more open to what she was saying and not jump to the whole hypocrite thing, because then it just sounds like you've been fed what's that side of the argument. You know what I mean? Like it feels like you've been coached a little bit ahead of this filming, you know, on what Margaret's position is. I didn't like it, and so I kind of got why Jen was upset by that. Margaret chimes in saying that she doesn't need to be hung up on that word, and tells us in her confessional that this is ridiculous. Why did they even bother making up? Back at the party, Jen Aiden says that she was just stating the facts, but Margaret tells her to stop going back. They are moving forward. I really hate when people do this, I'm not going to lie to you. Let's say somebody does something that hurts you, hurts your feelings, whatever, and they apologize. And after some time, or maybe even instantly, you accept that apology, you forgive and agree to move on. If the topic comes up because other people are talking about certain things, or there's still an issue with something and it involves you in some way or what you have done, you can't then be mad and expect people to just gloss over it and pretend like that didn't happen. They can take your apology, they can accept it and can hear you out, they can even move on with you, but it doesn't mean that thing didn't happen. And what really annoys me is when people say sorry and expect that that's enough to erase the memory of something happening. I don't think you should bring it up at every occasion, but I don't think that this was really... Yeah, it was Jen bringing it up, because Jen started it by sort of asking about Rachel snapping at her about the whole hypocritical thing. So I guess Jen did bring it up. So maybe Margaret did have a point here. But let's just say, generally speaking, I don't like if you're the one that's done something wrong and you've apologised and I've agreed to accept that apology and move on and are forgiven, and then you just expect me to think that, like, to act as if that moment never actually happened, especially if it's relevant to another issue I'm having with somebody else. I don't know, that's just how I feel. But I think Margaret has a point here, now that I think about it. Let me put my bias to one side. I think Margaret does have a point because Jen did bring it up for not too much of a reason right now. Danielle proposes a toast to everybody leaving their BS at the door so they can make some mutts. Well done, Danielle. Oof. The ladies get all equipped with aprons and gloves, and Margaret says they look like they're about to give a rectal exam. Rachel and Jen Fessler bond over the fact that Jen's husband is half Italian and half Jewish because Rachel, who refers to herself as a pizza bagel, is half Italian and half Jewish herself. Giacomo, one of the mozzarella makers, is teaching the ladies how to make mozzarella, but the ladies are hardly paying any attention to the very sexy Giacomo. He wasn't too bad to look at. Margaret pulls Jen Aiden aside to talk and brings up her ex-friend that met with Jen and Teresa. Now, for some reason, Margaret seems more focused on the fact that Jen met with this Laura lady, but seems to be fine with Teresa. Because they have this little spat, right? And Margaret then goes and sits with the other ladies again and is sitting by Teresa and tells her that she needs to recommend this therapy that's working so well for Teresa to Jen as well. So Jen is effed up for meeting with Laura, but Teresa isn't. It sounds to me like you are picking your battles, but in the most horrible way. You're picking on the one that you think is the weakest. Because there's no going up against Teresa. Teresa will burn the whole franchise down before you ever win against her, right? But you know that Jen is already on the outs with Dolores, which you then keep bringing up in this argument, by the way. It was like 2-3 times she mentioned Dolores' name. And it's like, why does it feel like still in this new season, why does it feel like you're picking on who you think is the weakest? Why does it feel like that to me? Am I the only one? Does anybody else look at it the same way? Because I think that's my biggest issue with Margaret. I think it's giving bully, in my opinion. Jen goes off at the suggestion by Margaret that she is wrong for the way that she thinks. I guess it's because Margaret is saying that Jen is wrong for thinking that that's okay to meet with this ex-best friend. And tells us in her confessional, who the F needs a Karen when you have a Margaret? And I'm not going to lie, Margaret gives big Karen energy. She really does. To me. Margaret, in true Margaret fashion, brings Dolores' name up several times. So, of course, Jen is like, I don't have issue with Dolores. Dolores has issues with me. And then to Dolores, she says, you don't care. So now it's like, Dolores who? We're good. Now Jen and Dolores are going at it. Again. And it's all just so exhausting. Jen Fessler is stress eating in the corner until she then tries to interrupt the argument, saying that neither one of them is owning their parts in this. When Dolores dismisses her, Jen is angrily chomping on mozzarella. I'm sorry, that is so relatable. This lady just kept stress eating. She was just eating the whole time. She could not deal with this. Anyway, the conversation turns to Teresa's wedding, and Teresa announces that she will likely have no seating arrangements. Margaret says that's probably a good idea because the last time you had seating arrangements, you had issues. And Teresa casually drops that the last time Melissa was sitting at her table at the engagement party, but had asked to be moved, to which Melissa says is a lie, with a face that's as shocked as Botox will allow. Now, Teresa and Margaret get into an argument about where the Gorgas were sat at the engagement party, and Teresa even starts swearing on her parents and her daughter's lives that the Gorgas were supposed to be at their table, Teresa and Louis' table. Melissa says that she doesn't give an ish, and Teresa wants to know why she brought it up at the reunion then. Melissa says it's because they were fighting and Teresa was being horrible to her and Joe. Oh, victims. Teresa says the reason Melissa wasn't invited to be part of the bridal party at her upcoming wedding is because she didn't stick up for Teresa last season with all the drama with Margaret. Now, Margaret even corroborates that Melissa had told Margaret to stop talking about Louis. She's not going to change her mind, as in Teresa. Teresa loves him. She's not changing her mind, so drop it. But Teresa is adamant that Melissa should have stopped Margaret. Again, how, beloved? How do you stop a grown woman doing anything? Melissa then yells, so I'm the bad guy? I mean, in general, kinda. In this, not so much, with the whole stopping Margaret. No, I agree with you. But generally speaking, yeah. You kind of are the bad guy, in my opinion. Anyway, they argue a little more, and Teresa says to her, family is everything, and Melissa yells at her to stop saying family, family, family. And that is the end of episode 2. So, ratings. I gave this one a 9.5 out of 10. It was a little less chaotic for me than episode 1. But I knocked off half a point because the arguments just felt really repetitive. I don't want to see some of this stuff over and over again. So it was a very personal rating, obviously, as all ratings can be. But yes, I gave this one a 9.5 out of 10. I'm really enjoying Rachel and Jen Fessler, and I still absolutely adore Danielle, of course. We got to see the aftermath of Dolores versus Jen Aiden and had some very hilarious editing in that moment. The Gorgas are still complaining about Teresa. At least they're consistent. We found out about Margaret's ex-best friend, Laura, meeting with Jen and Teresa, and I want to know about the tea that was spilled during the meeting. I want to know. The ladies made mozzarella, and Danielle didn't invite Miriam Webster, so I'm sure we'll be hearing from her about that one soon. Margaret versus Jennifer, Dolores versus Jennifer, and Teresa versus Melissa all drove Jen Fessler to eating absolutely everything in sight in a hilarious yet relatable way. So yeah, 9.5 out of 10 for me. I want to know what your ratings are. I want to know what you thought of the episode. Please let me know in the comments down below or on social media or both. Tell me. I'm curious. I want to know. But that's it for today. So I guess I'll see you next time.